Full disclosure, news and commentary number 55, 55, 55, 55, 55. Hello, welcome to Full Disclosure number 55. And of course, we're going to mark this in time. We're in the midst of that time, CV. And it's been crazy, and my hair continues to get longer. A lot of people have mentioned how they can't wait to get a haircut. I am amongst them. I've done a decent job of keeping up with my beard, at least. Looks all right, but man, I got to cut some of this stuff down. Anyway, our commentary is about greatness. Two sides of the greatness coin. Acknowledging greatness and not labeling things that aren't great as greatness. Our Patreon people, love you more than ever, of course. Brett and Brian and Dan and Derek and Diana and Jeffrey and Joseph Black and Larry, not that one, the other one, and Logan and Proc the Croc and Rob Rod, Southern Honor, Double Drop Kick, and of course the shout out to Eric, Viral, Pro Wrestling Transcendent, and the OG Myron. Yep. Cool. I actually do have an unboxing, and it's clearly not a shirt. But people still sending me stuff. Certainly appreciate it, especially in these rather strenuous, tough times. I'm going to open this bad boy up. Can't wait to see what it is. Don't have the kids this week, which sucks. So I don't have anybody to test whether this thing is something that it shouldn't be. Little parts of something. Okay. Oh, an LED light. Okay. If I can't figure out how to quickly plug it in right, well. Oh, in theory, it could plug into my phone, right? Or maybe not. Maybe I'm... Nope. What do I do? That? Well, that didn't do shit. Maybe there's something I got to do to turn it on. I don't know. I'll try it out later. Fuck. Well, very nice, and I'll do my best to get this thing going somehow, some way. Try again. Oh! It went for a sec. Yeah! Cool! Sweet. Figured it out. Not bad for an old man. All right. Let's get into it. A reminder, instead of me bringing up lessons that I've taught in the past, just a reminder, continue to go for magic. That's going to apply to something that I'm going to talk about later, as far as Georgia wrestlers that have been getting these sort of shots on AEW and WWE. To always go for the magic. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And a friendly reminder, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. I can apply shut the fuck up to any number of things. I just put out a video about the whole racist video and all the responses to it. People have privately told me that they enjoyed it quite a bit, and I was far more thorough than they were expecting, but that's what I do. Cool. I want to address a couple things happening in the wrestling world. In general, the Lawler thing about the ramen noodle hair, and Cornette's take on it. Are people too sensitive? Are people too soft? Yes, I think that is pretty much undeniable. But the part of this story that I'm interested in, Lawler's comments, and then the Cornette thing that got him canned from NWA, which was total bullshit that he got canned for that joke. But let me say this. How come nobody ever addresses this? The Lawler comments and the Cornette comments were both lame as fuck. And the commentary on Raw as I'm watching it is lame as fuck. Why is shit so terrible? Why is Lawler so shitty? Why is Cornette's stuff so pat and lame as well? Can we demand fucking better? It's not that the comments are offensive, to me anyway. It's just, they're so fucking hackneyed and shitty. And Chris Jericho did a little commentary, and it was really good, but there were times where I thought he took away when it was time to get serious. These guys can't shift gears, but at least Jericho was interesting and interested. God damn. At a time where we need commentators to be better than they've ever been because of the lack of crowd and whatnot, and the fact that they're having to do so much work making sure we're all hip on what's going on angles-wise and all the rest of it. Man, it's so shitty. So shitty. Did the great commentators of the past not take anybody under their wing? I will say that Michael Cole, who used to be somebody that I could not stand, is better than the rest. But that's not really high praise right now. Just my take on it. Couple of interesting things coming up. Gary Lamb is going to be on Gunner's show. Always going to be interesting. Always going to be, if not a good time, a fascinating time. So I'm definitely going to tune into that. The tapped outs have been great. And now that I've discovered, I mean, they're on a myriad of different formats. And I don't know why. I've never watched them on YouTube before. YouTube is how I take in a lot of stuff. As I drive, as I'm walking, as I'm running, during workouts and that kind of thing. So the fact that they're, I don't know why I just discovered the fact. It's a lot easier for me to deal with YouTube because it's on like every format that I've got, as opposed to Facebook, which can be a weird video format to play through, which I've dealt with Gunner as well. I think I need to check out a different format for Gunner's thing as well. Anyway, and then an Evolved review. That's James Caleb Kitchens and Caleb Stovall. Sorry if I pronounced that part incorrectly. But they've been covering Dark Side of the Ring. And I checked the show out. I only checked out a little bit of one of the shows. But then I really took in their last one. And it's fucking good. Who knew? It is good. And I would check it out. They're very focused in on the Dark Side of the Ring thing. But shit, that's a very viable thing to talk about. It's one of the things I look forward to on Tuesdays. Especially now that fucking Ink Master is done. Boy, did that thing end in a disappointment. In the sense that they weren't able to do a finale. Because they always do a live finale and whatnot. But Tuesday nights are Dark Side of the Ring and Ink Master, now just Dark Side of the Ring. So I'm very happy to hear people comment on it. I actually like that After Dark, Dark Side of the Ring show as well. Though I appreciate the analysis on the Evolved review much more. I think they go into it from a different angle. Yeah. So those are worth checking out. Bit of a rant. And this has to do with the magic thing I was talking about earlier. So we've seen a number of Georgia folks turn up on AEW. And, Alan Angels wrestled, Big Daddy Crush 'em All. And, Sammy Guevara worked a thing with Suge, a.k.a. Pineapple Pete. Matt Sells got on there as well. With Sammy, I believe, as well. And then Austin Theory, right? He was in WrestleMania in a tag match. And then on the next night on Raw, he was in a tag match and his partner never tagged in. So he was featured prominently. And now he's a part of this whole angle that they got going on with Drew Galloway, the champion. So what's my standout thing from this? When you get a shot, fucking create magic and stand out. I don't care if it's a squishy squash match. Find a way to get yourself over. Matt Sells did a pretty good job of this, right? He got his shit in, he got his signature stuff in, but he got Tony Khan and other people talking about him and people imagining, oh, maybe we'll do Matt Sells against Colt Cabana, blah, 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 and making jokes and whatnot. But he's in the conversation. That's the point. Because he made sure he fucking applied what he has learned so well in the last couple of years and make sure he's pushing that gimmick forward. Great. Other people haven't stood out. And Austin Theory has not stood out. And clearly he's got favored nation status in so many ways, right? They're putting him on TV. They see potential at him. They made him shave off that shit beard, thank goodness. And all of that. But he never stands out. You have to fucking stand out. Great example of this, Suge, who's at in the audience, basically, for AEW Dynamite, but dresses in this sort of outlandish way, and Jericho, latches onto it, calls him Pineapple Pete, and then he runs with that motherfucker, gets himself a match, and now he's making an angle out of losing that match. Right? He's making everything important. He's taking the Pineapple Pete throwaway comment that Jericho did, and he's making something out of it. That's what you got to do. You got to fucking stand out. And as people that I'm training here in Florida, more about that on Patreon, the people that I'm training, when I'm with them and we're watching something, I go, and I go, what can this guy do to stand out? What could this guy do that's different? Even if they're doing just a rear chin lock, I show them, you could do this and this and this, and you can work into this. Make the ordinary extraordinary. That's what magic is. Make the ordinary extraordinary, so they remember you. Because especially now, the chances to stand out are few and far between, so you have to maximize them. If you're doing stuff online, fucking make us remember it. Make it great. Joe Pedicino died, and I had the good fortune of growing up in Hawaii. And so his Saturday Night Superstars of Wrestling, I watched all of it. I got to watch everything. I got Polynesian Wrestling, All Japan and New Japan showed. We would occasionally get freaking Mexican promotions showing. So I got to see everything, right? Florida Championship, all that stuff. Of course, all the WWF stuff. Of course, Crockett. Of course, Mid-South, and then UWF later. But Joe Pedicino, how many times was I on the phone with a friend of mine and we would watch it together? All the different incarnations on that show. The thing I found most interesting about Joe Pedicino that somebody had written is this quote from Tom Pritchard. Tom, definitely a friend of Tipping Point. By the way, Tipping Point tomorrow night. We're going to do something that Larry is really taking charge of, which is we're having 4 guests. Joe Black, get these guests. Joe Black, Shalandra Royal, Irving West, Kyle Matthews. And we're going to talk about things from a more psychological perspective, because that's Larry's stock in trade, his legitimate trade. And so we're going to go in deep. And I highly suggest you tune in. It starts at 7. Tipping Point. I'm going to take more of a back seat. I'm just going to facilitate things. And then if something catches my attention that I think needs pointing out or emphasizing, or if it inspires a question in me, then I'll ask it. But for the most part, this isn't about who trained you. This is about getting in deep. What are the effects of the things going on? As a young wrestler or as somebody who is taking this time to really get their, this was their last chance. For guys like Kyle Matthews and Slim J who don't have as much time to make it, what does this mean to them? I'm interested, and I highly suggest you tune in. But anyway, Tom Pritchard, who we've had on the show, who we consider a friend of the Tipping Point, had this to say about Joe Pedicino, but really about wrestling in general. And I think it's really great. Today's generation has no idea, this is the truth, what the feeling and atmosphere of experiencing a live wrestling show in a coliseum, sports arena, sportatorium, or a jammin' building full of real pro wrestling fans on on a weekly basis was like. I almost feel sorry for them. Some of them, that is. Others have no appreciation or even the desire to look into the past and find out who came before them and laid the groundwork. So go ahead and do that, right? Look at old wrestling. But don't just look at it from an athletic perspective or what happens bell to bell. Look at the reaction of the crowd. And ask yourself, can you make magic and make that happen when wrestling returns? I have said on more than one occasion lately that wrestling is dead. And now we're going to go through a transformation and it's going to have a different form and a different feel. That doesn't mean that there are no aspects of wrestling that are going to remain from before. But maybe we can do even better. Maybe we can find ways to have truly hot crowds, because we'll have appreciative crowds. That much is certain. And what will we do with that? Wrestling people, I put that to you. But Joe Pedicino, rest in peace. Commentary time. Ric Flair was on Stone Cold's deal, and he mentioned that there were only a few that were truly great and that we overuse the word. And he's right. And we had a discussion amongst a group of us about what greatness is and who is great. My definition of greatness is, who do you make? And are you leaving it truly better than how you found it? And you do that by creating and making things which other people benefit from. And setting the stage for others' greatness. So to that end, I put in addition to the wrestlers that were great, and he mentioned Stone Cold and The Rock and Hogan and himself, of course. We can argue for others. But those four are pretty safe to say, right? But I also threw in Vince McMahon and Ric Flair. Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman. Because they also set the stage for greatness and were a huge influence, right? But Flair also mentioned that the word great is the most overused. That we say everything's great. And he's right. But I also wanted to expand the definition of greatness. I think the fact that Ring of Honor and AEW, that their reaction to this time, where there is no wrestling, and the two of them, almost all their revenue streams have been completely severed, that their reaction is, we're not going to abandon and get rid of people at this time. We can't in good conscience do it, is admirable. And the WWE getting rid of all those people, we can have a debate about that, right? The tapped out guys would say, well, that's business, and I understand. But the fact is the WWE is going to turn a huge profit, even with everything that's gone on and not getting a live gate for WrestleMania and all the rest of it. They're going to turn a huge profit. And it's definitely many people's opinion. I'm not going to say it's necessarily mine. Many people's opinion that they should not have gotten rid of a bunch of people and furloughed a bunch of people at this time. But of course, their responsibilities are different, right? Stockholders and the like. So it's a different... Oh my God, Santana Garrett, Florida's mainstay, is on Raw. Cool. Sorry. Have it on in the background. But I think acknowledging the behavior of leagues, in Georgia specifically, is definitely valid. And acknowledging greatness, especially in this time where you're not able to do shows, is valid. Viral has collected money, and I've said my piece on that I thought asking fans for money, I didn't like it. But the fact is, in the next couple of days when they cut money to the boys, that's wonderful. Just no doubt about it. The fact that Southern Honor, Gary Lamb and Company, had raised $3,400 of which to pay the boys, and then that show not being able to happen is a tragedy. But it shouldn't take away from the fact that they raised that money initially to give to the boys, and I think that's wonderful. I don't doubt for a moment the sincerity of people that want to run, even if I think it's an incredibly bad idea. And I think when people bitch and say we should open up the state and it's great news that Kemp is, that's whatever. I'm not going to get into that discussion. I will just say that I don't doubt the sincerity of wrestling groups wanting to run for reasons that go beyond financial. I don't doubt it. And there's no doubt that there's something missing. And as much as I give advice like shut the fuck up, and I still will continue to give that advice, and I still think a number of people, if not most people in wrestling, have not done themselves a favor by what they post and what they say. On the flip, I will say that I think the overall vibe of let's let the petty shit go and use this as kind of a reset is, I think, a great instinct. I think those that still strive to entertain, whether it's the wrestlers making their own videos, leagues that are asking questions or sort of looking at their past. I saw Dylan put up a year ago I did this video for AEW, or Bill Barron's putting up Wildside stuff, or Jeff G. Bailey and Al Getz going on that one fucking podcast to talk about the birth of Wildside and all of that. I think all of it's great. I think the way Matt Hankins has helped Anarchy, and I'm just assuming it's Matt Hankins who's sort of spearheaded it, but I think, Anarchy's reaction to this whole thing has been the best publicly out of all the leagues. And it's great. There's that word. Great to see. I think AWE initially being the first to say, we're not running shows. We're not going to do it. We're making that decision right now. We're not, our hand isn't being forced. We're making a decision. We're making the most mature decision possible. I think they deserve credit for that. And I wanted to end this commentary with acknowledging the greatness that continues to go on. Gunnar Miller's still doing his thing. The Tapped Out guys are still doing their thing. And their WrestleMania freaking dream card thing was a shit ton of fun, by the way. And I'm always stunned at the people who continue to try to be petty as far as I go, but I'll admit something to you. I love it. I love it. Because what's greater than being acknowledged? And that's exactly what it is, right? I'm going to keep doing my thing. Keep doing your thing. But go deeper. Make it great. Figure out the magic that you're going to wield and conjure once you're doing your thing. And if you can get a little magic in now, all the better. Great job, Santana Garrett. Let me look at the finish again. This trend of torture rack and flipping into moves, I'm fucking bored to death with them. Can we think of other shit, please? And can we think of a high impact thing besides a super kick? Because now everybody's doing it. Find ways to be great. The old cliche that Jake used to love throwing out there is be an innovator, not an imitator. It's not easy to do, but it's possible, and you certainly have time to think about it. I'm not seeing a lot of promos out there. Not seeing a lot of people talking, mostly from Florida. So Georgia people, I want to hear you. I want to see you. While we shouldn't say everything was great, and we shouldn't idealize, I would urge people that part of greatness is, of course, having your rivals and living up to them. But another part of greatness is forgiveness, or this idea of letting things go. Because when you don't let them go, when I see things pop up where people are still bitter about something, and I'm not going to put out a specific example here, but I'll just say when I see it, I just think, what a burden is on that person. What a huge burden is on them. That's what forgiveness and letting stuff go is about. It's about unburdening yourself as well. And so in this time, which feels like the great apocalypse, but things will get better, right? Spanish flu wiped out millions. And right after it, you know what happened? The 20s. Fucking roaring 20s. In the late 30s, it was the Great Depression. And we're getting a milder version of the Spanish flu, a far milder version than that fucking apocalypse. Let us hope, anyway. But we are getting an economic fucking atom bomb dropped in the middle of everything. And hopefully what that means, if history tells us, is that afterwards we'll come roaring back. But during all that momentum of roaring back, it's your chance to ride the crest of the wave. So I encourage you all to do it. And I need to say that out loud because I need to remind myself to do it. And so I shall. This has been The Tipping Point.